Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and today I want to share with you a Christmas card. It's actually a card that I've cased, copy and share everything from our brand new 2021-2022 annual catalog. It's found on page 91, and the card that the artisan designer had created was up here in this corner, but I didn't like the colors. And so what I've come up with is changing it to a very much monochromatic card layout using our brand new Evening Evergreen in color. It's a gorgeous deep green, beautiful for these trees. It uses the bundle Evergreen Elegance. It's a punch and stamp set combo. You get a 10% discount when you purchase both. You can, however, choose to purchase them separately. Both items will be listed in my blog and in the description of this video, so you have those options and how you want to purchase. So let's get started. What you need for this project. So I throw things on the floor. You will need a half a sheet of this Evening Evergreen cardstock. Again, the measurements will be on my blog, justalittleink.com. 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4 along this 8.5 inch side. You also will want a piece 4 inches by about 2.5. This is what we're going to punch for on the inside, give you a little peek. You also will want a couple pieces of Sahara sand. One piece is cut at 3 3/8 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and then you also need a little strip of it that is 3/8 of an inch by 3.5 inches. That's for this little tag piece here. You'll want a strip of Blackberry Bliss, 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inches. And then you need a couple pieces of very vanilla cardstock. This for the inside, 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then you need a small piece that's 1.5 by 2 1/4 inches for this greeting. So let me show you how I put this card together. I'm going to have some scrap paper because I'm going to end up stamping off a little bit. Get this out of the way as well. Set this off to the side so that you can see. So I'm going to open up my Evening Evergreen stamp pad. And I'm going to begin with the tree that's off to the left. And I'm going to ink it up, and it's going to go down full strength. So I stamped it kind of up along this left side, like so. Then I stamped it again, not full strength, so the one time off over here. Then I set that one out of the way. I'm going to stamp the long skinny tree that comes in this set. I'm going to stamp it off once. I'm going to stamp it off a second time. Stamping off is a very basic stamping technique, but it gives you multiple colors from one color of stamp ink. And so it's one of the beauties of stamping is that you don't need a zillion colors. You need at least an assortment of tones. Now we get lazy, like I do, when you become more experienced in stamping because we just want all the colors. So, whoops, I stamped off and I didn't want to, so I'm going to cover that up so it's okay. I'm going to stamp this littlest tree in full strength down here at the end. So then this part is done. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to stamp my greeting. It's again in the same color ink. I found that there was very few colors I wanted to use. I liked this color. So I'm gonna see how well I do stamping my greeting straight. I may have to come in here. Let's hope we can get it straight. Not too bad, actually. Set that aside. Let it dry just a little bit. I'm going to pull out my card base. I'm going to fold it in half. Again, I have scored it, which helps, and I'm going to use my bone folder. It gives me a nice crisp edge without fingernail marks. And about a third of the way down, I'm going to stamp the pine needles, and I can cover them up. It's okay if I end up covering, but I want to kind of bring down about so. And I'm using full strength ink. It's okay if I overlap a little bit because I'm going to cover that up. So, like so. And finally, for the inside of my card, I want to stamp my Merry Christmas. I love the font of this particular greeting. I'm going to put it up toward the top, like so. And that completes my Evening Evergreen ink. To give a little interest up here, I'm going to pull out my Sahara Sand ink, and I'm going to stamp some of the stars. These are in this stamp set, and I want to stamp it a few times, stamping off a little bit. And I come back in here, stamp a few more of these. You could do as much or as little as you wanted with that. Again, I'm doing it just to give a little interest on the inside. So I've got all of my stamping done. So I'm going to set all these parts and pieces aside. And I want to show you about the punch. I found these border punches I love. You stamp it by centering it in this middle. I'm going to pull it around here. So you want it centered. Put a little line. This is one that you don't turn upside down, which is a little different. Line it up, making sure it doesn't move on me. I'm going to press it down. Okay. And I'm going to scoot it across the side. I've got tall trees and little trees, and so I want to make sure I've lined up my images on the left side or the right side. It doesn't really matter which way you go. I'm going to punch again. I'm going to come back the other way, and again, I want to make sure that I've lined up my tall trees and my little trees so that I punch accordingly. Otherwise, it messes up. A lot of our images that are on these border punches come across and they're all the same. You don't have varying sizes like you do on this one. So this one takes just a little more planning. You will have a little piece of cardstock left over. I can move my scrap out of the way. What I found, I liked this layer just in the bottom, and so I'm going to pull out my multi-purpose liquid glue. Put a little bit of glue on here. I found this card really goes together pretty fast. Pull it along the base so I have a little bit of room to write my greeting. I liked this, so here we go. So I'm going to put this then on the inside of my card, pull out my Stampin' Seal, my new favorite adhesive. Hang it up on the inside, and then we're going to assemble the front of this card. Fairly easy peasy. Okay, so like so. So what I want to do is I'm going to line this up. So I'm going to take Put adhesive on the back, line it up on the front. Again, I don't want to cover up all of my evergreen at the base. I want a little bit of spot up here. Depending, you can adjust more or little, depending on how much you want showing. And depending on your paper trimmer, if it's like mine, you might have a little more here on this end. So I'm going to come and snip off this excess. I could use my paper trimmer. I find just pulling out my paper snips is faster. So grab that. Then I want to align up my strip of Blackberry Bliss along the base. And it may, again, need a little snipping. And then I have this little scrap piece, and I want to put an angle to it. So I'm just going to come in, you choose what angle you want. It works like a paper ribbon, really. You could use multi-purpose liquid glue. I'm just going to use my adhesive because it's handy. And I'm going to line it up, about midway here, like so. And then finally, I'm going to pull this. I want some Stampin' Dimensionals to go on the back. And pull out my Stampin' Dimensionals. Trusty little dimension that it gives to a card. Don't want too much, but just enough. Pop it up. Stick it on the front. I'm going to come in. I don't want to cover up my little tree. So I'm going to come in, maybe back here. Like so. Pretty similar. And like that, I have a beautiful Christmas card cased from the catalog. So the catalog did all of the hard work for me. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd appreciate it if you would do so. And if you'd click on that little bell at the bottom, you'll make sure to get notifications every time I post a new one. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can order anytime at justalittleink.stampinup.net, and you can catch this card, the details of all the measurements, and the pictures of the inside on my blog, justalittleink.com. Thanks again for joining me. See you next time.